Decentralized finance, or DeFi, it can feel like this totally new universe, right? With its own language, its own rules. But what if I told you the key to understanding it all was hiding in something we see every single day? Marketing. Today, we're going to unlock the Web3 and DeFi playbook. And honestly, you might be surprised to find that its core principles could change how you think about pretty much every brand you interact with.
So let's start with one big, powerful question that's going to frame everything we talk about. What if, instead of just being a user on platforms like Facebook or Twitter, you were actually a co-owner? Just hold on to that thought, because that one single idea, that's the key to understanding this entire shift to what we call Web3. And this visual, I think it just perfectly captures the whole before and after story. Over on the left, you've got Web 2. That's where all the value and data flows through these big centralized companies, the platforms we use every day. But on the right, that's the vision for Web 3, a decentralized network where the value and the control are distributed directly among us, the users. It's a huge shift from being the product to being the owner.
Okay, so we've got the big picture, right? A user-owned internet. Now let's kind of zoom in and make sure we get our key terms straight as we step into this new digital frontier.
All right, first things first, what is DeFi? The easiest way to think about it is as a whole suite of financial services. We're talking lending, borrowing, trading, that all run on public blockchains. But here's the real kicker. There are no banks, no intermediaries. Instead, all the rules are literally baked into the code itself using something called smart contracts. You can think of a smart contract like a really trustworthy vending machine. If you put in the right coin, that's the condition, you are absolutely guaranteed to get your snack. That's the outcome. No middleman needed, ever.
And look, DeFi isn't just some niche thing. We're talking about a whole financial ecosystem here. Yeah, there are stablecoins, which you've probably heard of, and exchanges, but it also mirrors traditional finance with things like credit, derivatives, insurance, and asset management. It's basically a parallel financial system being built from the ground up, right on the blockchain.
So this whole new setup, it creates this really fascinating puzzle for marketers. How in the world do you promote a product or a service when your customers, your investors, and even your developers can all be the exact same group of people?
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. In the old model, you market to customers to get them to buy your thing. Simple. But in Web3, those lines are completely blurred. You're trying to get people to buy into an ecosystem, to use the product, and to help decide its future, all at the very same time. I mean, this just totally changes the game for what customer acquisition even means. It's not just about getting a sale anymore. It's about finding those crucial early believers who are going to invest. It's about finding dedicated users who will give you that essential feedback. And maybe most importantly, it's about acquiring community members who create those network effects that give the entire project its value in the first place. And that brings us to what is honestly the single most important rule in the entire Web3 marketing playbook. Your go-to-market strategy can't just be about ads and funnels. It has to be from day one about building an active, an engaged, and an educated community.
Okay, I know that might sound a little chaotic, but trust me, there's a method to the madness. Let's walk through a structured model that shows exactly how Web3 startups can mature their marketing step by step.
The key here is to think about Web3 marketing not as this one big launch event, but as a journey, a maturity journey. You don't just jump straight to advanced, super data-heavy campaigns. No way. It all starts with the fundamentals, like nailing that product market fit. From there, you build up, moving through tracking, getting smarter with intelligence, automating things. And only then do you get to scaling and advanced testing. Now let's zoom in on that, because we can really see how this plays out over time. Look, in the first 6 to 18 months, there's only one goal: product market fit. You have to prove that your product is absolutely indispensable before you even think about growth. Only after you've nailed that can you move on to experimenting, optimizing what works, predicting future results, and then finally driving that sustainable growth. Each stage has a really clear goal, and you just can't skip the steps.
All right, so we've got the high-level framework. That's great. But now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the on-the-ground tactics. How do these projects actually go to market in this new era?
For a lot of these DeFi projects, their marketing journey is actually tied to their journey towards becoming fully decentralized, and it usually happens in these 3 key steps. First, they issue a governance token, which gives owners a literal stake and a say in the project. Second, they launch a DAO, that's a decentralized autonomous organization, to manage the project.
And then finally, the original team hands over the keys, granting control to that community-run DAO. Let's make this real. A great example is MakerDAO and their stablecoin DAI. Their go-to-market strategy wasn't about running a bunch of ads. No, it was about embedding DAI deep into the ecosystem. They focused on getting it listed on exchanges so people could trade it, integrating it into wallets so it was easy to use, and getting it accepted as payment. They made it useful, not just visible. Big difference. And you gotta understand, these tactics are definitely not one size fits all. This table does a great job comparing them. For building community, DeFi projects might lean on influencers and data trackers. Meanwhile, NFT projects, they live and breathe on Discord and Twitter. And when it comes to content, NFT projects totally embrace the culture of memes and what's literally called shitposting, while DeFi projects might focus more on structured things like referral programs. The strategy has to fit the culture. And if you're an early-stage startup, you're constantly playing this balancing act between cost and speed, right? Building a community, creating great content, focusing on SEO, those are relatively low cost. But man, they take time. On the other hand, you've got things like ad campaigns, influencer marketing, token airdrops. Those can generate a ton of buzz really quickly, but they come with a seriously high price tag.
So we've looked at the models, the strategies, all the different tactics. What's the one big idea we should really walk away with here? It really all boils down to this one simple but profound idea. In Web 2, you create marketing for a community. But in Web 3, the actual act of building, nurturing, and empowering your community, that is the marketing. Every decision, every incentive, every piece of content, it's all designed to strengthen that network of user owners. And that just leaves us with this one final thought, something to really chew on. If the people who are using your product are also the ones who own it, who govern it, and who profit from its success, who are you really marketing to? The answer to that question might just change how we think about the relationship between any brand and its audience forever.